I say, Jimmy Henchman on the phone, he wanna holler at you. Suge say, where you at, little You sure could run fast, you little punk. So at this time, I realized something going on.
In the early 1990s, Suge Knight and his business partner, Dr. Dre, completely reshaped hip-hop with their newly formed label, Death Row Records. In December of 1992, they released their first major project, The Chronic, an album that went on to sell millions throughout 1993 and permanently shifted the sound of West Coast rap. Suge Knight was not only seen as a powerful music executive. Behind the success, he developed a reputation that made people in the industry uneasy.
Jimmy tells him, yeah, you caught me slipping, but you didn't catch me. He said, I sent you one message already. He's like, yeah, I sent you one message. He said, but I ain't giving you no more chances. Next time I catch you.
Stories about his aggressive behavior stretch back to the late 1980s, long before Death Row became a powerhouse, when Suge was still trying to establish himself in the business. Suge grew up on the east side of Compton in the Linwood section, an area widely known for its blood presence connected to East Side Mob Peru. While Suge never publicly claimed a gang affiliation, he remained closely connected to many people from that environment. Instead of focusing on street politics, he put most of his energy into football and tried to build a future through sports. After transferring to the University of Nevada, Suge played football for 2 seasons, but went undrafted in the 1987 NFL Draft. He briefly received an opportunity with the San Francisco 49ers. But after a serious off-field incident involving a personal dispute, the offer was withdrawn. He later attended the Los Angeles Rams' training camp and was cut.
About a few weeks prior, or maybe the year before, Kanye West, The Shore Club, I'll never forget, it was very vivid. Jimmy Henchman tells me, Johnny, come get this shot.
Before eventually playing as a replacement athlete during the 1987 NFL players' strike, Suge would only suit up for 2 games before being cut, and after that short run, he shifted his attention toward the music business. Around the same time, a street figure named James Roseman, better known as Jimmy Henchman, was also trying to break into the industry. James was born on February 5th, 1965 in Harlem, New York, but he was raised in Flatbush, Brooklyn, specifically in the Vanderveer Gardens projects, an environment that shaped everything that came next. Roseman was raised by Haitian immigrant parents who came to the U.S. in the early 1960s. When they divorced, his mother was left to raise 5 kids on her own, and life got rough fast. By age 16, James had already started acting out, landing his first arrest for stealing a bike, a small charge that opened the door to much bigger problems.
And I remember that the game was there, and I knew that Suge Knight had beef with the game. Mm-hmm. It wasn't, excuse me. The game wasn't there. Jimmy was there, who managed the game at the time.
Right.
And he says, come with me, I want you to take this photograph. But I just saw Suge Knight by the bar. I said, Jimmy, I don't think it's a wise idea to go over there. He said, nah, it's a wise idea. Get your camera. When I give you the head nod, I want you to get this photo. I'm like, well, okay. So next thing I know, I follow him.
He was sent to the juvenile facility at Rikers Island, where he crossed paths with hardened street figures and began soaking up the criminal lifestyle around him. During that time, he adopted the nickname Jimmy Ace and started building connections that would pull him deeper into the streets of New York City. Once released, Roseman fully jumped into street life. By 18, he was catching case after case, including a charge for criminal possession of a firearm. He was released again, but trouble followed him closely. Just months later, he was arrested and charged with robbery and second-degree assassination. Somehow he managed to beat that situation, only to get picked up again a year later on another firearm charge. It was during this stretch that the name Jimmy Henchman stuck.
And there's Suge Knight, leaned up against the bar, and he was, with his talented blow, he'd make a perfect circle of a cigar smoke.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, what the hell? So next thing you know, I saw Suge inhale, and when he exhaled, he blew out a perfect circular ring of smoke right into Jimmy's face. And then Jimmy went one head nod to the left,
By the late 1980s, he had built a reputation as one of Brooklyn's most feared street figures. Still, after serving more time at Rikers, Roseman started talking about leaving the streets behind and going legit, claiming it was time to flip his image and step into the music world instead. In 1991, Jimmy Henchman took a major step toward legitimacy by co-founding a massive hip-hop conference called How Can I Be Down? He viewed hip-hop as his clean exit from the streets and a real shot at making money without looking over his shoulder. Around this same time, Henchman was also connected to the success of Salt and Pepper, helping push their hit single Shoop, which climbed to number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1993.
And then he looked at me and one head nodded to me. I'm like, what am I shooting? Some guy with a musket just comes from behind Suge. Boom! Shoots him right there. I'm like,
holy shit.
And I'm like, holy shit. Everyone, like a movie, for one split second, it was like as if everyone was frozen. Then, pure anarchy. Everyone's just stepping on top of each other. People are falling. Glasses are breaking. People are screaming.
While Jimmy was making moves behind the scenes, tensions were heating up between Dr. Dre and Miami rap figure Uncle Luke. In February 1992, Uncle Luke's artist JT Money fired shots at Dre on the track Fakin' Like Gangsters, escalating an already brewing rivalry. Dre didn't let that slide. Later that year, Dre and Snoop Dogg responded publicly on Dre Day, a diss track featured on Dre's debut album, The Chronic, released in December 1992.
Jimmy calls my phone. Yo, get Suge on the phone. Everything straight? Yeah. Whack, get Suge on the phone. Call Suge. Hey, he's like, what up? I say, Jimmy Henchman on the phone. He wanna holler at you. Suge say, where you at, little? You sure could run fast, you little punk mother. So at this time, I realized something going on. Jimmy tells him, yeah, you caught me slipping, but you didn't catch me. He said, I sent you one message already.
The situation intensified when a music video for Dre Day was approved and released. Then on May 8, 1993, when the song dropped as a single, the vinyl also included Puffin' on Blunts and Drankin' Tanqueray, where Dre took more shots at Uncle Luke. At this point, the East Coast versus West Coast tension was very real, and Suge Knight had ambitions far beyond one region.
He like, yeah, I sent you one message. He said, but I ain't giving you no more chances. Next time I catch you, you know what it's gonna be, right? So I guess Jimmy Suge had called him at the Century City Plaza, and Jimmy ran from him. Must have been by himself. Okay. I don't know if Suge was by himself, had a couple guys with him. But Jimmy little dude, and Jimmy fights his wars the way he fights his wars.
By 1993, Jimmy Henchman was officially stepping into the industry, and this is where his conflict with Suge Knight began to form. According to Lance Rivera, Uncle Luke invited Suge, Dre, Snoop, and their circle to Miami in hopes of calming the situation. Lance says Jimmy Henchman was also present during that meeting, and that moment marked the first real clash between Jimmy and Suge that would echo for years to come. During this stretch, Jimmy was actively managing artists across New York, building influence behind the scenes. One of those artists was a Flatbush rapper named Little Sean, a client that kept Jimmy closely connected to the Brooklyn scene. Everything changed on November 30th, 1994. That night, Tupac Shakur was shot 5 times inside Quad Recording Studios in Manhattan. According to Tupac, he believed he was heading to the studio to record a verse for $7,000 for Little Sean. Instead,
by any means, he wasn't scared on the phone. He was a little frustrated and pissed off. That dude that came at him that way, to a point to where he alerted him on some shit that we was all totally in the blind about. We didn't know he had anything to do with it. So he told him and let him know from this day on, it's on.
He was robbed and shot. Tupac later claimed Jimmy Henchman had set him up, an accusation Jimmy always denied. This moment mattered because not long after, Tupac signed with Death Row Records once Suge Knight posted his bail. By October 1995, Suge and Tupac were extremely close. Tupac was still furious about the Quad Studios shooting and openly wanted revenge on those he believed were responsible. That lined up with Suge's own issues since he already had tension with Jimmy dating back to their Miami clash in 1993. Around this same time, Jimmy launched Henchman Entertainment, rebranding himself as a serious industry power player. Jimmy grew closer to major New York artists, including the notorious B.I.G. and Junior M.A.F.I.A. They appeared alongside Little Sean on the track Don Perignon in July 1995.
Florida. Y'all remember? Kanye West party.
Henchman?
Uh-oh. Bust on him. On Pyro, Jimmy told that on this phone number, on the three-way, hey, keep playing. I sent you a message already and got you shot in the ass. You keep playing, I'ma have 5.
In the video, Henchman Entertainment shirts were clearly visible, which many took as Jimmy applying pressure, knowing Tupac was already heated over the Quad situation. Some believe Jimmy wanted to humble Tupac after Tupac publicly disrespected Haitian Jack on television. While facing legal trouble in the summer of 1996, Tupac was recording an album originally titled The Don Killuminati, The 7-Day Theory, under the name Machiavelli. On July 8, 1996, Tupac recorded Against All Odds, where he directly called out Jimmy Henchman and referenced the Quad Studios shooting. The track was released after Tupac's passing on November 5, 1996, cementing the feud in hip-hop history.
My Life video, Game and Lil Wayne. Jimmy's still in the management seat. Who you think got the video? Jimmy.
Jimmy?
Guess who else shows up to the video? Suge.
Goddamn Suge.
After that, the tension between Suge Knight and Jimmy Henchman never cooled off, and things started moving in a dangerous direction fast. By 2004, Jimmy was managing his newest high-profile client, The Game, a Compton rapper who was also a protege of Dr. Dre. That alone was a problem, because Dre had been Suge Knight's sworn enemy ever since he left Death Row Records in February 1996. From that point on, Suge was accused of trying to undermine nearly everything Dre touched, and watching Dre's new artist blow up did not sit well with him at all. On August 29, 2004, at the MTV Video Music Awards in Miami, Suge and The Game crossed paths and had a tense face-to-face moment. Almost immediately, rumors spread that Suge had slapped The Game during the encounter. According to The Game, that never happened, and the interaction was limited to a brief stare-down. Years later, in a 2019 interview, The Game claimed he pulled a gun on Suge during that moment, though that claim has never been confirmed. The rumors picked up more steam when Yukmouth referenced the incident in a diss track aimed at The Game. The Game also addressed the situation himself on his 2004 mixtape Welcome to Compton Part 3, specifically on the track New York, keeping the speculation alive in the streets and online.
You know what Suge does? He gonna tell the homies, some young don't know no better. Yeah, that's the that killed Pac. They come over there to us. Yeah, Suge talking about that's the kill Pac. He won't. No, that's the that had him shot, and Blood told him he had him shot on my phone. And why Blood telling y'all some bull, right? Tell Blood gonna handle his business. He right here.
At the time, Jimmy Henchman was managing The Game and did not like what he saw as Suge trying to intimidate his artist. Jimmy also took issue with how Suge continued targeting Dr. Dre. That frustration deepened after reports surfaced suggesting Suge may have been involved in the altercation at the 2004 Vibe Awards, where Dr. Dre was assaulted. In Jimmy's eyes, Suge disrupting the Vibe Awards was another major line crossed. By 2005, tensions escalated again. In mid-2005, New York street figure and Rollin 60s Crip Big U was doing business with Jimmy Henchman, working on securing The Game a deal tied to launching his own shoe brand. That connection would soon pull even more people into an already volatile situation. Big U also had ties to Suge Knight because of his close relationship with Kurupt, who was signed to Death Row Records at the time and was described by Big U as holding a leadership role within the label. In an interview on The Breakfast Club, Big U recalled meeting Jimmy Henchman at a restaurant to discuss the game's shoe deal, a meeting that unexpectedly turned tense due to Suge Knight's arrival. Big U explained that he had been released from prison about 6 months before Suge and that the two reconnected shortly after. According to him, the first real money he made in hip-hop came from working on the game's shoe contract with Jimmy Henchman. He said he was introduced to Jimmy through Henry Black and admitted he was still new to the music business at the time and completely unaware of the existing beef between Jimmy and Suge. Big U described Jimmy walking into the restaurant dressed head to toe in white, accompanied by a woman standing out immediately. Moments later, Suge arrived with a large entourage, pulling up in multiple cars. Big U said the plan was simple: meet Jimmy first, then leave with Suge. Instead, the situation escalated fast as Suge's people began entering the restaurant. Sensing trouble, Big U told Jimmy he should leave through the back while he handled Suge. Jimmy refused. Big U said that moment earned his respect because Jimmy made it clear he was not going to run. According to Big U, it was just Jimmy and the woman with him, and he did not know whether Jimmy was armed or not. Big U then stepped in and spoke directly to Suge, explaining that he was trying to do legitimate business with Jimmy. He made it clear he was not ordering Suge around, just asking for understanding. The tension eased slightly, though it never fully disappeared. Suge reportedly took a drag of smoke and told Jimmy, quote, "My brother is the only reason you gon' make it out of here."
We at a cemetery. We shooting at a cemetery. So ain't no you see him and go handle him. You go tell some young, yeah, that's your pop. Y'all need to go. No.
Big U later admitted he had to learn the politics of the industry fast. On August 28, 2005, the MTV Video Music Awards took place at the American Airlines Arena in Miami, and both Suge Knight and Jimmy Henchman were in attendance. After the show, Kanye West hosted an after-party at the Shore Club, where several major industry figures gathered late into the night. Just after midnight, chaos broke out. Suge Knight was reportedly shot while sitting at a table in the VIP Red Room section of the Shore Club. Witnesses said a man walked up and opened fire before quickly disappearing. A police report described the shooter only as a black male wearing a pink shirt. Suge was rushed to Mount Sinai Medical Center, where doctors said he was in stable condition. Hospital officials confirmed Suge was alert and talking after the shooting. He was scheduled for surgery to remove a bullet from his leg and repair a broken bone. Friends waiting at the hospital said he appeared calm despite what had just happened. Almost immediately, speculation began spreading that Jimmy Henchman was somehow connected to the shooting, though no charges were filed tying him to the incident. In a 2017 podcast appearance, veteran industry photographer Johnny Nunez shared his account of that night. He claimed Jimmy pulled him aside moments before the shooting and asked him to take a photo, and the gunfire happened shortly after. This led to rumors that Jimmy may have wanted the shooting captured, though this was never proven. Sometime after the incident, Jimmy Henchman continued managing the game. Around this same period, another aspiring music power broker, Wack 100, was introduced to the game, setting the stage for another shift in control behind the scenes. According to Wack 100, another tense incident later unfolded between Suge Knight and Jimmy Henchman. Wack claimed that Suge ran into Jimmy at the Century City Plaza in Los Angeles and that Jimmy allegedly walked away quickly from the situation. This version of events comes solely from Wack's account. After that encounter, Wack said Jimmy was visibly upset and immediately called him, demanding that Suge be put on the phone.
Jimmy Henchman is 5'8", 150. Now you know what the then told you. I know what he told you because he told you on my phone. Go handle your business. Don't try to get the little homies on some crash dumb.
Wack said he connected them on a three-way call. During that call, Suge allegedly mocked Jimmy, calling him a fast runner and accusing him of avoiding confrontation. According to Wack, Jimmy responded by saying Suge had already been warned and that future problems would not be taken lightly. Wack has claimed Jimmy implied the Miami shooting in 2005 was meant as a warning, not an endgame, though none of this has ever been confirmed by law enforcement. Wack has repeatedly said this exchange referenced the 2005 MTV VMA after-party shooting, suggesting that incident still lingered heavily between both camps. Again, these claims come from Wack's retelling and have never resulted in charges related to those allegations. Fast forward to July 23, 2008. The Game was filming the music video for My Life featuring Lil Wayne, a single for his album LAX. The shoot took place in and around Compton, and according to Wack, both he and Jimmy Henchman were present on set that day. Wack claims Suge Knight unexpectedly pulled up to the video shoot. He said Suge began stirring tension by telling people on set that Jimmy was responsible for what happened to Tupac. These accusations were never proven and were based entirely on street talk, according to Wack's own description. After that moment, Wack said there were no further direct encounters between Jimmy and Suge. Jimmy's focus shifted toward disputes involving 50 Cent and Tony Yayo. Eventually, in June 2011, Jimmy Henchman was arrested and charged in connection with leading a large criminal case, marking the beginning of his legal downfall. The trafficking case would ultimately seal Jimmy Henchman's fate. In 2017, prosecutors added new charges tied to the alleged assassination of G-Unit associate Lowell Fletcher, also known as Lodi Mac. Jimmy Henchman is now serving a life sentence plus an additional 30 years, officially ending his run in both the streets and the music industry. Suge Knight's story didn't end much better. In January 2015, Suge was arrested after a fatal incident on the set of the movie Straight Outta Compton, where he allegedly ran over 2 people. He is currently serving a 28-year prison sentence. That's how the conflict between Suge Knight and Jimmy Henchman came to an end. 2 feared figures, both taken down by their own choices. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with others, and we'll see you in the next one.